Welcome to part 2 of our series, Empowering Sales in the Digital Age, where we dive into transforming sales processes for the modern manufacturing landscape. In this segment, we'll explore innovative strategies to optimize your sales operations, making every customer interaction count. Join us as we unveil insights on leveraging technology for sales success, ensuring your team is not just equipped but ahead of the curve in this digital revolution.
Before we get there, I did want to touch on one point that you did raise earlier that I think is relevant, and that's the change management piece. We'll come back to the market, the expanded global market component in a moment, but it's that whiffing factor, right? What's in it for me?
Yeah.
So, and you're thinking about this from the point of view, like you said, there's guys who've been selling their products and their services for the last 35 years, and they know what needs to be done. And what's the point of making notes in the system after I've already done it? I've already done it. But can you talk a bit about sort of the value components, the different values that need to be evident to somebody who is being presented with, hey, we need to do this differently? What's your experience with that?
Well, I think you've said it. It's a focus on what's going to improve their day. And I mean, any individual 8-hour period for a salesperson, because again, sales, I know sales, I do sales. There's a lot of repetitive actions that you have to take. The question is, how many of those are proving to be successful versus not, right? And what a system can do is start to tell you that over a period of time. That's for a management to look at, but a good salesperson wants to know that too. Did I make enough calls during this week that my pipeline is where it's supposed to be? Well, if it's the first thing that you look at every single morning and you see my pipeline's not where it's supposed to be, and I've made more calls than I need to already, I'm over the quota that normally. So what is the measurement? How do we get to a point where we know that we're hitting the right thresholds for the job? And it's the good salespeople want that information in front of them. And the good salespeople also want to know everything they can about their customer at a glance without having to log in and out of multiple systems, or in a car in a parking lot, I'm about to walk in and I don't know if that service call has been closed yet, or is it still open? How big of an issue is this that I'm going to walk into? Mm-hmm. And when you have that kind of information, it can change your relationship with that customer. So there's a relationship with the systems that are providing a salesperson an understanding of how they're doing in their job that I think are kind of table stakes today. Mm-hmm. Most younger salespeople coming into the market are kind of saying, well, where's the tool that's going to tell me when I'm on track or off track? And I really think that the days are gone where everybody's worried about somebody looking over their shoulder because they're trying to get rid of salespeople. The goal is to make your salespeople better. These systems provide measurements for the salesperson and for the sales management. Management can make higher level decisions about what's going on. And this person over in this territory is doing an excellent job. What does his metrics look like? Is he making the same number of calls or more calls? What is he doing different? And how do I apply it across to the guys that aren't quite at quota yet? That's really, to me, what a system should be helping provide. And some of that information needs to help the individual, but it also needs to provide management some information.
Let's come back to the mid-market manufacturers competing or looking for business outside of the U.S. You were kind of touching on that earlier. And so what are your thoughts around the organic growth where you can literally have the proper sort of a service cloud arrangement, maybe a service cloud portal that customers can log into to create orders and so on? Could that help company organically grow and find clients that they didn't even know were looking for their products and services?
Yeah. I think most manufacturers that I've come across have figured out how to extend that buying process to the online website and making it possible for people to purchase. I think that the challenge for all of those companies is go through that process yourself, understand what your customer sees, because let's be honest with each other here. The realistic expectations of customers today have risen. They expect much more communication. They expect much more information about the order and the process of that order. When is that coming? What's going to happen? What should I be expecting? And the one thing that I've found in many cases is we've extended our ERP so somebody can click on this button on the website and they can go place an order. But that system isn't designed to engage with that customer throughout that ordering process. I mentioned it earlier that there are companies that are taking that opportunity and turning it into a new sales and marketing opportunity by capturing that data in a system of engagement so that they can remarket other products and services to that customer over time. Now, I'm not saying that the process that somebody might have by using an ERP is wrong, but I'm saying that there are better processes to continue that engagement over time. So it's okay that an ERP might be capturing that actual transaction, but we have to get that transaction into a system of engagement that is capable of allowing you to do more with that information, allowing you to provide them a very good experience about when that product is, I know some manufacturers, the delivery of that product has to be precise. And so wouldn't you think that the information that you have to give your customer is very precise in that situation? And I feel like a lot of times they go, well, we've at least got the orders happening now. Okay, that's true. You know your customers better than I do, so I don't know how much more information they need, but I do feel like the expectations have risen, and we should all consider that more information is probably not going to be a bad thing.
Right. We've become very accustomed to, your order is 10 stops away from the house. It should arrive at exactly this time. And then they take a picture and then you get the email. It's a very different world than it was even 10 years ago. So
yeah. How many days before I'm going to receive it? Sometimes I need a crew to be there. So I need to know precisely when that's going to get there.
Install it to whatever, right? Yeah, 100%. I know that there are a lot of, perceptions for maybe mid-market manufacturers about what the IT department really consists of. And, the IT department is not what it used to be. You were talking about that at the top of the call. And 20 years ago, you needed the IT guy to take care of all the technology, everything from we need to issue new laptops to the server went down to I need you to generate a report. And now that paradigm has shifted. So what would it be a good analogy that we could use to sort of describe that world relative to the world that we have today?
I never came up with a good analogy, but I will say that, I think manufacturing companies that don't, haven't had a large IT presence, it's probably okay, but I think your thinking about that needs to shift a little bit to a dispersed IT, dispersed technology knowledge. Instead of it all being centralized with a few people, it's going to be more dispersed amongst people within the business, because the person that could be a Salesforce expert could be a marketing person. It could be a sales operations person. And they're not IT technically savvy. They're not going to know about networks, and they don't need to know about databases anymore. So they're not cluttered with that, and they can actually work very closely with the business to tailor the system so that it continues to stay in tune. The second biggest thing that I see that I think is a challenge for manufacturing companies and smaller ones is finding that right person. And I've seen it the role given to sales managers or a marketing manager. And of those two, I would pick a marketing manager. Today's younger marketing people that are coming into marketing are very data savvy, and they understand that data is what drives good marketing. And they have a very good sense for how to manage the systems. But I will say that any system, I don't care if it's marketing or sales or service, whatever it is that's brought in as a customer engagement tool, don't let it go more than 2 years before you have some review of the processes that are going on with the people that are using that system. If it's all three of those departments, then I would say you need to look at all three of those departments and say, are we still operating service the same way, sales the same way, marketing the same way? Are our markets still the same? Are our customer expectations the same? If not, you need to go back through your processes and redetermine how you can do it. And you don't have to have special people to do that. You could have that same person that manages the system from marketing, run those sessions and kind of learn what the thresholds are and what's the difference today.
Right.
But I do think that IT has changed. It's okay for your IT folks that you have now to stay focused on the same things that take up their, regular work days. But I think you should consider, as you're considering an automation solution for any of the front office, somebody else that can manage that, and somebody that has enough authority that you're going to give enough authority that they can make changes to the system without a long process. It needs to be very simple.
I would even add to that, you oftentimes don't know what you're going to run into when you start those sessions every 2 years, right? I mean, a lot of our clients grow through acquisition. So you suddenly inherit a new ERP, you inherit a new team that manages the product suite and the sales pipeline, and they understand that product line better than anyone else. That's part of the reason why you may have acquired them. And so if you decide, hey, this is a good time to stop and do an evaluation of how do these processes flow together. How does our marketing and our sales and our service, the processes, how do they flow together as you incorporate these other ERP systems, these other groups, these other people and processes? And you may discover, okay, it's bigger than a breadbasket. The folks that we have here might not have the bandwidth or even expertise to handle it, but they do have the expertise to articulate what the use cases are, right? These are where the challenges are. This is how we do things today. And here are the holes, here are the gaps, here are the challenges, right? And obviously, that's one of the areas where Salesforce implementation companies like ExOrion and other companies will come in and say, if you've already done that legwork to articulate those use cases, you have done a huge piece of that job. It's a powerful piece of the job. A lot of companies will wait for it in Salesforce implementation partners to come in and extract the use cases out. We're very good at doing that. But the better option, in my experience, being a delivery guy, is for the clients to know we may have other use cases we haven't clearly identified yet, but these are the top 5, 10, 15, 20 that as we go through this reevaluation of what our processes look like, that jump out at us that we have gaps we need help with, right? There's a very smooth transition to bringing in a partner like ExOrion to say, these are our use cases. Can you just go through and take a look at these and then come back to us with how do we close these gaps? How do we realign the business so that we're running at optimal efficiency? I just thought I'd add that in there because you brought up a good point.
Sean, if I was an executive at a mid-sized manufacturing company, I don't have a lot of IT resources. I don't have people sitting on the bench anywhere, nowhere. I would most certainly look for a company that can provide strategic guidance and get me to the point where if I don't have my business processes documented, that's part of what they help me. And through that process, I know I've seen it over and over that when you go through that documentation of that business process, everybody realizes, oh, I forgot that, or I didn't know that. We still do that. Those things still
Happens all the
happen.
time.
It happens everywhere. And I'm not saying that you can't do it internally. If you have the resources and you can find somebody internally, that's a good exercise. It needs to be done. But if not, and if I were doing it and I didn't have that resource, I would easily look for a company that can come in. For me, I would pick a partner that understands Salesforce for the main reasons that everything else that I think is in the market is some subset or some other focus area of Salesforce, because Salesforce is by far the leader and thought leader in so many different areas. It's kind of amazing. But again, it's not about the technology at that point. It's about the people in the process and understanding those two things. And then I think once you as a company understand that for each one of those areas we've been talking about, or any other area that where you have a soft spot in your business, you think it's ripe for improvement. If you do that exercise and then you come to, or you hire someone like ExOrion to help you do that exercise, you're in the best position of any company. I can't tell you how many times I've asked companies for their sales process. Do you just have your process? Can you show me your process? They don't have it documented.
No.
And again, the things that you learn during that documentation process are always something new. And you have data that, oh, I didn't know that data that's an old database. We're still using that. Happens all the time. And without that documentation process, it puts you at a disadvantage when you're trying to figure out what technology is going to match up to the system that you need. So yeah, that's an exercise that, again, and that one, I feel like once you've done it the first time and things have been documented, the second time, 2 years from now, won't be near as difficult.
It's easier because you have a baseline.
Won't be as time consuming. You just need to validate what's going on. Is it the same or is it different? It's usually just a couple of changes. And those changes may or may not affect what has to be done to the systems to support. But yes, I would easily go hire a specialist to come in, knows all the right questions to ask, understands how the process is typically run. Why don't you do it like this? Because most manufacturers do this at this point in the process. Oh, well, we do that, but we also do this. Okay. Those kind of things are nuances to your process that make your company different and your brand different. And it happens everywhere. The core of the processes are typically the same, but the analysis of how they're being used in your particular business have evolved over time. And that's usually where your brand comes from. It's how your service is delivered, and it's what separates you from your competitors.